My beloved child, you are not imagining this. What you have felt shifting in your spirit, what you have quietly sensed in the depth of your heart, is real. God is ending that connection for a divine reason. Not to punish you, not to hurt you, not to leave you empty, but to protect you, prepare you, and position you for what you could never reach while staying tied to what was slowly draining you. Some separations feel sudden. Some fade slowly. Some feel like betrayal. Some feel like confusion. But all divine endings carry a hidden mercy that only becomes clear with time. There are connections that feel safe but keep you stagnant. There are relationships that feel familiar but slowly silence your calling. There are attachments that once carried purpose but no longer belong in the next season of your life. God never removes without cause. If something is being shaken loose from your world right now, it is not because you failed, it is because you are growing. What once fit your old self cannot always fit your becoming. You may be questioning why it hurts so much if it is God's will. But the truth is, even divine surgery can feel painful. Just because God allows the ending does not mean He ignores the tears that come with it. He sees every quiet breakdown. He hears every whispered prayer you speak at night when no one else is listening. He knows how deeply you loved, how hard you tried, how much you invested. And still, in His infinite wisdom, He is saying, "This cannot go where I am taking you." Sometimes God ends a connection because it has served its purpose. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people come to teach you strength. Some come to awaken discernment. Some come to show you what love is not, so you will be able to recognize what love truly is when it arrives. Holding on to a past assignment past its expiration date can delay future blessings. God ends what has expired so you can receive what is fresh. You may feel abandoned, but you are not. You may feel rejected, but you are not. You may feel discarded, but you are not. You are being redirected. What feels like loss is often protection disguised as pain. What feels like rejection is often divine selection. God is removing what your heart was too loyal to release on its own. There are connections God must end because they are draining your peace. You cannot build your future while constantly repairing wounds from the same source. You cannot grow in clarity while staying in confusion. You cannot walk in purpose while remaining tied to patterns that pull you backward. God values your peace more than the comfort of your routines. He values your growth more than your attachment to what is familiar. And yes, it hurts because you cared. It hurts because you believed. It hurts because you hoped. It hurts because you saw potential. But sometimes God does not remove people because they are evil, He removes them because they cannot grow where you are going. He removes them because their assignment in your life is complete. He removes them because their presence would block the next door if they were allowed to stay. There are blessings that require solitude before they arrive. There are levels of clarity that only come when distractions are removed. There is an intimacy with God that only develops when certain voices grow silent. The quiet you are feeling right now is not emptiness, it is preparation. You have been praying for answers, and this ending is one of them. You have been asking for peace, and this separation is part of how peace arrives. You have been asking God to remove what is not from Him, and now He is doing exactly what you requested, even though it feels heavier than you expected. Do not mistake divine pruning for abandonment. A gardener cuts back healthy branches too, not because they are dead, but because cutting allows them to grow stronger and produce more fruit. God is not destroying you. He is refining you. He is shaping your future by removing what no longer belongs to it. This ending is not the conclusion of your story. It is the transition. What leaves your hands now is creating space for what will soon arrive. And what arrives next will not require you to beg for consistency, question your worth, or compromise your peace. You may still love them, and that does not make you weak. Love does not disappear just because God removes the connection. But God is teaching you that loving someone does not always mean keeping them. Some people are meant to be loved from a distance. Some connections are meant to be honored in memory, not maintained in reality. If God is ending it, it is because staying would cost you more than leaving. It would cost you your confidence. It would cost you your clarity. It would cost you your obedience. It would cost you the future He is building in secret for you right now. There are doors that will only open when you stop knocking on the one God has already closed. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and thank God for what you begged Him not to remove. You will see how it was blocking your healing. You will see how it was slowing your growth. You will see how it was limiting your joy. And you will realize that the pain of separation saved you from a deeper pain you never had to experience. This is the season where God teaches you that security does not come from people, it comes from His presence. This is the season where your faith grows roots. This is the season where you learn to stand without leaning on what cannot support your destiny. God is not done with you. He is not finished working on your heart. He is not finished preparing your blessings. This ending is not punishment, it is positioning. This is not rejection, it is redirection. This is not failure, it is refinement. And even though it feels like something is missing right now, what God is about to add will make you realize that what left was only a shadow of what is coming. So let the tears fall. Let the grieving happen. Let your heart process the loss. But do not let sorrow convince you that God has abandoned you. He is closer than ever. He is walking you through this ending so He can lead you into a beginning that will restore more than you lost. You did not lose your future, you cleared the path for it. And even now, as you read these words, God is gently whispering to your spirit, "Trust me. I am ending this for your good." You are still standing, even after what felt like everything fell apart. That alone is proof that God is holding you through this ending. You may feel weaker than before, but spiritual strength is often built in moments when your natural strength feels gone. What drained you before can no longer drain you now, because God has drawn a boundary where your heart once kept the door open. There is a sacred protection in this separation that you do not yet fully recognize. Some connections quietly compete with God for space in your heart. Some attachments grow so strong that they begin to influence your decisions, distort your discernment, and weaken your obedience. God loves you too much to let anything sit on the throne of your life except Him. When something starts to take a place it was never meant to hold, God steps in, not with anger, but with authority. You were never meant to shrink yourself to keep someone comfortable. You were never meant to dull your light to maintain peace that was built on compromise. You were never meant to carry emotional weight that keeps you from fully rising into the fullness of who God created you to be. Anything that demands you to become less so it can stay is already misaligned with your destiny. This ending is freeing you from cycles you kept trying to fix. You kept explaining. You kept forgiving. You kept hoping the same patterns would suddenly change. But God saw what you could not see, that your loyalty was becoming chains, that your patience was becoming delay, that your love was becoming self-neglect. So He intervened. Sometimes God allows a connection to break suddenly because if He allowed it to fade slowly, you would cling to the illusion longer. A sudden ending forces clarity. A sharp break forces truth to rise to the surface. What was once blurred by emotion becomes clear in the light of separation. You may replay conversations in your head, wondering what you could have said differently. You may question your worth because the ending feels personal. But understand this: divine endings are not a reflection of your value. They are a reflection of timing, alignment, and assignment. Something can be real, meaningful, and still not be meant to continue. What God is doing now is restoring your voice. You spent too long questioning yourself. You spent too long measuring your worth by how someone treated you. You spent too long believing that stability meant staying, even when your spirit was quietly unrest. Now God is teaching you how it feels to choose peace without guilt. This silence you feel is not empty. It is sacred. It is a breathing space where your soul can finally exhale. It is where your intuition sharpens again. It is where your confidence begins to regrow. It is where your prayer life deepens without distraction. It is where you remember who you are without constantly defining yourself through someone else. God is not removing people to isolate you permanently. He is removing people to realign you correctly. Isolation for a season is sometimes the womb where your next level of faith is formed. It is not punishment, it is preparation. There are relationships God cannot bless further because they are built on imbalance. Where you give and receive only uncertainty. Where you invest emotionally and receive confusion. Where your heart works overtime to keep something alive that God never intended to survive into your next season. You are not meant to chase what is meant to walk beside you. You are not meant to beg for what God has already ordained to meet you in peace. You are not meant to keep choosing what God is repeatedly trying to remove. What left your life was never your source. God is your source. And when you live from that truth, loss no longer defines you, it refines you. This ending is also exposing how strong you actually are. You survived what you thought would destroy you. You endured nights you thought would never end. And still, you are here. Still believing. Still hoping. Still praying. That resilience is not accidental, it is divine. You are being taught how to trust God without needing constant reassurance from people. How to stand without emotional dependency. How to love deeply without losing yourself. How to be faithful without being bound. What you feel now, this strange mix of grief and relief, it is the sound of your spirit adjusting to freedom. It is unfamiliar because you have lived in emotional tension for so long that peace feels foreign. But in time, peace will feel natural again. God has seen how heavy your heart became trying to carry what was never yours to fix. That is why He stepped in. That is why He closed the door you kept reopening in different ways. That is why conversations stopped. That is why access was limited. That is why communication changed. That is why distance grew. Not everything that leaves does so with dramatic explanation. Some endings come quietly. Some drift away without closure. And as painful as that is, it teaches you that not everyone will give you the ending you want, but God will always give you the ending you need. You are stepping into a season where you will recognize your worth without needing someone else to confirm it. Where your joy will no longer rise and fall with someone's behavior. Where your energy will no longer be consumed by emotional survival but invested in spiritual growth. You will love again. You will trust again. You will connect again. But you will do so with stronger boundaries, clearer discernment, and deeper wisdom. This ending is not making you bitter, it is making you wiser. God is preparing you for relationships that feel safe, consistent, mutual, and peaceful. Where effort flows both ways. Where communication is clear. Where love does not feel like constant anxiety. Where support does not feel conditional. And when those connections arrive, you will understand why this one had to end. For now, breathe. Let God hold what you no longer can. You do not need to force healing, it is already happening quietly within you. And as you move forward from this ending, you will begin to notice subtle shifts inside you. Your reactions will change. Your patience will deepen. Your standards will rise. What once triggered anxiety will no longer control your emotions. What once pulled you backward will no longer have power over your decisions. This is not accidental. This is the quiet evidence that God's hand has been guiding this separation all along. You are learning now that closure does not always come from conversation. Sometimes closure comes from acceptance. Sometimes closure comes from realizing that God already spoke through the ending itself. You do not need every answer to be whole again. You only need to trust the one who sees what you cannot see. There will be moments when memories return unexpectedly. A voice. A place. A song. A familiar routine. And for a brief moment, your heart may ache again. But each time that ache comes, it will be softer than the time before. Each time, it will remind you not of what you lost, but of how far you have come. God is healing you in layers. Not all at once. Not in a rush. But with purpose. The wounds that were once too painful to touch are slowly losing their sting. The questions that once kept you awake at night are losing their grip. The need for validation is being replaced by quiet confidence. You are discovering that peace is not loud. It does not beg for attention. It does not demand explanation. Peace simply settles in your spirit and stays. That peace is the assurance that God is near, that your future is secure, and that this ending did not derail your destiny, it aligned it. You may look back one day and realize that the very thing you thought would destroy you became the doorway to your strongest season yet. The heartbreak that nearly crushed you will become the testimony that strengthens someone else. The disappointment that shook your faith will become the reason your faith is unshakable. God wastes nothing. Not your tears. Not your prayers. Not your waiting. Not your pain. Every ounce of what you have walked through is being woven into something meaningful. Even the confusion served a purpose. Even the silence shaped you. Even the loss positioned you. You are no longer the same person you were when this connection began. You love differently now. You trust differently now. You choose differently now. And that is growth, even if it came through pain. The doors that are opening in front of you now require a version of you that only this ending could create. The strength you now carry could only be developed through this separation. The clarity you now possess could only come from this season of confusion. The faith you now walk in could only be born from what once tested it. You were never being abandoned. You were being led. There will come a moment, quiet and unexpected, when you will realize you are no longer waiting for their return. You are no longer checking for signs. You are no longer replaying old conversations. You are fully present in your life again. And in that moment, you will understand that God did not just remove a connection, He restored you. What is ahead of you will not require you to sacrifice your peace. It will not demand you lose sleep over inconsistency. It will not leave you second-guessing your worth. What is ahead will meet you with assurance, not anxiety. With clarity, not confusion. With stability, not emotional fear. You are entering a season of alignment, where what you desire begins to match what God desires for you. Where your heart and His will begin to move in the same direction. Where you no longer chase what pulls away from you. And when the right connections enter your life, they will not feel forced. They will feel natural. They will not drain you. They will strengthen you. They will not confuse you. They will confirm what God has already been building inside you. Until then, you are safe in God's presence. You are covered in His care. You are held in His timing. You are watched over in His love. This ending did not make you less. It revealed how strong you truly are. And right now, even if your heart still feels tender, God is gently reminding you that you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not alone. You are exactly where He needs you to be.